Yo, man, good morning, everybody, man. It's your boy Rick, man. I'm back, LIB Media, here again. And of course, I got to talk about this. Micah Parsons got traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. I saw the trade stuff yesterday. I saw it pop up. And initially, when I saw it, I wasn't surprised. As y'all know, if y'all been on this channel before, I grew up around a bunch of Cowboys fans. There are a bunch of Cowboys fans in my vicinity. So when Micah first requested the trade, it was a whole thing. The same way I was giving phone calls, I was getting phone calls because around the same time, Terry McLaurin had requested a trade. Obviously, Washington did what we needed to do. We got Terry signed and back, so he'll be ready for week one to play so Washington can stay on track with everything. But when I originally seen the trade to Green Bay, I said, okay, this is gonna be a blockbuster trade. This is gonna be a lot. I remember when Myles Garrett requested the trade. I think the Browns was like they wanted at least 3 first-round picks. So I thought in my head, okay, well, Micah Parsons is younger. Some people have him as a higher rated player. I don't per se. I don't have him rated highly rated than T.J. Watt or Myles Garrett for 2 reasons. One, T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett both can stop the run on their respective sides of the ball, which Micah Parsons doesn't really bring much to the table. He's just more of a pure speed rusher, and you line him up around the field. So he's limited in that standpoint of like he doesn't stop the run, he doesn't set the edge well, and that's just because he's really a linebacker that transitioned to edge. He wasn't really like an edge like the other two guys played with their hand in the dirt the whole time. And the other thing about him was this: the sack production never got fully there to where I wanted it to be. Yes, he has gotten double digit sacks every year he's been in the league. Shout outs to him. That is, I think the only other person to ever do that was like Reggie White, who is clearly like one of the top 5 best defensive players of all time. The flip side to it is that he's never reached the high totals that, like TJ Watt has had 19 and a half sacks in a season. I think the most Mike has had is 13 and a half or 14, which is still really, really good. But when you're getting paid as much as he got paid, like 188 million, I think in like 160 of it or something like that guaranteed, then you want to. I don't have the contract details in front of me right now, but if you're doing that, you want that player to be able to do everything on the field. And I guess Green Bay decided like, well, what they missing was just a pass rusher. When I saw the deal, I wasn't surprised. I know Jerry is like, I was surprised from one standpoint. I was surprised from the standpoint that Jerry normally, if you were drafted by Dallas, Jerry normally will get that deal done. I'm also not surprised that Jerry is the kind of person that'll get in his feelings, depending on the situation, which clearly after he did that interview with Stephen A. Smith, you could tell Jerry was like upset about it. He's like, bro, like I'm trying to get this done. You ain't trying to get it done. We're not finna do all this extra stuff. So whatever. I just want to pull up what they actually got in the trade compared to Herschel Walker, because of course all the Dallas people are comparing to Herschel Walker. So literally all the Cowboys got is 2026 first round, 2027 first round, and Kenny Clark. That is not a lot at all. There's no second round picks, no third round picks, no fourths or fifths mixed in there. I thought it would have been like maybe 2 firsts, a second, and a fifth, or something like that, for the extra thing. But it was just the first. And the Packers, who won 11 games last year, isn't looking to be a bad team anytime soon. So those picks are gonna be in the 20s at that. And then but what Dallas could do is if this is a trade for the future, which I think it is, so to come up off of Dak, then you'll have your first round and their first round. You could package them together and maybe trade up in next year's draft to get your quarterback of the future or whatever player for the future that you want. That's probably the best thing. I don't think it. When people talk about Herschel Walker, which that trade had like It was 6 draft picks included. It was 5 players. It was like an 18-player trade all together. It was so much other things moving. And yes, the NFL draft was slightly different back then. So that one of those picks turned into Emmitt Smith. I think one of them turned into Michael Irvin or something like that. So that trade just jump started Dallas into winning those Super Bowls. I'm thinking Michael Irvin might have already been on the team, but that trade turned into a whole bunch of really, really good players for them. And so this trade is nowhere near that. At the most, you can turn this into probably one good player. Like, let's say they stay with where they're at. Let's say Dallas is drafted around 15 or something, and then the Packers pick is around 22. I mean, you can get two really good players to add to the team, but they won't necessarily change the franchise the way Micah Parsons did unless you actually just hit on that draft pick. So what I would say is, I think all in all, with me being a Washington fan, I appreciated Jerry because Mike used to have really, really great games against us. Part of that was because our offensive line wasn't that good, and we revamped it and we went and got a left tackle for that exact reason. And now he's not in the division no more. But either or, just being non-biased, I think the trade was a great trade for the Green Bay Packers and not a great trade for Dallas ultimately. Kenny Clark is a good player. He's a run stopper. That is what Dallas needed. They needed a run stopper. He's only 29, so maybe 2 or 3 years later, Kenny Clark will still be able to stop the run, and he'll still be a great player that they can have, and they can build around that. I know they drafted Donovan Ezaraku, who I was a big fan of him as a pass rusher. Maybe they probably seen some stuff from him in camp, and they think he can turn into a really good player coming off the edge. And then you have an edge and a run stop setter at the nose tackle at the zero technique, which will be good. I just think ultimately you didn't get the haul that the way, not the way necessarily I grade him, but the way NFL people grade Micah Parsons. You would think they would have got a lot more for it. What Jerry did do is get it off the books. So he is off the books. It's probably going to be Dak coming off the books next. It's looking like that's what it's going to be. Right here, you can see how ESPN got it graded. They give the Packers a B+ and the Cowboys a C+. I think they give the Packers a B+ because I think ESPN probably kind of feels like me a little bit about Micah is a great pass rusher to have. He's explosive. He can change games. But with his lack of ability to stop the run, and you giving up Kenny Clark, who's your best run stopper, you kind of hurt yourself a little bit there. And I think it's because he doesn't have really a true position. So as the defensive coordinator, you're gonna have to try to mix him in and try to figure out how that works. But ultimately, like I said, I don't think it was a great trade. Shout out to Michael for getting paid. He's not the highest non-paid quarterback, which he reset the market. How that just happens, how it happens. So I'm interested to know anybody else's thoughts. I've been seeing people going crazy over it. I know Dallas fans have been losing their mind, as you should, because when you get a guy with the 11th pick and he turns out to be that good, like that's something that you would think you want to hold on to. But with the market keep being reset and Dak already making out as much money as he made and CD making as much as he made, I can understand where Dallas is like, it's not like we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, so let's just reset the whole thing. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts, man. Y'all please stop comparing this to Herschel Walker trade. Y'all please stop comparing it to what happened with Reggie White when he left the Eagles to go to Green Bay. That's not the same situation either. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. It's your boy Rick, man. It's LIB Media, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out of here, man.